Exclusivity has always been a highly debated topic. When it comes to first-party games, a lot of people understand that platform holders want to sell more of their console, their storefront, whatever it is, their service. So they'll release those first-party games they funded that were possible because of those companies' investment only on their own platform in order to drive their ecosystem. And then on the other hand, there's third-party titles. Generally, third-party exclusivity is scorned upon, especially with how Epic Games Store is snatching away third-party games, particularly those that were crowdfunded or promised for Steam and the like. In an ideal world, there wouldn't be exclusivity, but that's just not the way the world works, which is why it is always kind of interesting to see when a first-party game actually starts to port over to other platforms like PC, which is what's happening with PlayStation more and more. So many of you probably know about Horizon Zero Dawn, developed on Guerrilla Games' Decima game engine. It's a game that garnered a whole lot of critical acclaim. It sold pretty well. It garnered a great user score as well. People generally really like this game and are looking forward to a sequel, but this game has always been a PlayStation 4 exclusive developed by a first-party studio. But that's all seemingly gonna change if this report by news outlet Kotaku is anything to go by. So this information comes from sources that editor Jason Schreier contacted, and according to those sources, quote, "The PlayStation 4 exclusive Horizon Zero Dawn will come to personal computers this year," sources tell Kotaku. This news comes from 3 people familiar with Sony's plans, all speaking anonymously, and then when asked for comment, Sony did not immediately respond to a request. Horizon Zero Dawn was a game that released all the way back in February 2017, so it'll have been around 3 years, a little over 3 years since the game's launch on PS4, and apparently the current plan is to release Horizon on both Steam and Epic, which I think is a good idea. You don't want to confine the game to any one platform, especially Epic Games Store, which does not have the best reputation right now. If you can release it on as many PC storefronts as possible, that's just going to benefit everyone. It's going to increase your potential sales. There's no reason not to do that unless you really, really want that higher revenue cut from the Epic Games Store or are really enticed by whatever cash infusion Epic offers. But Guerrilla Games isn't a small indie developer. They're backed by a major giant, Sony, and I think that they would ultimately suffer more for going Epic exclusive because it would just diminish potential sales. You got a lot of Steam users who are eager to play a game like Horizon. Even if you have to give a bit of a higher cut to Steam, you ultimately are garnering positive impressions from people. You're not engaging in some potential PR nightmare, and you're just allowing as many people as possible to play your game. It's a win-win. It does say right here that which platform on PC Horizon's releasing on isn't finalized, so things could change, but I really don't foresee Guerrilla and Sony going for Epic exclusivity or anything of the sort. It's just a strategy that doesn't make sense, that would bring about unnecessary backlash. But yeah, assuming these rumors are true, this is pretty unprecedented, and if you get the game on PC, it'll allow you to really unlock the capabilities of the Guerrilla game engine. As noted by Kotaku here, PlayStation 4's hardware only allows for the game to run at 30 frames. Seeing that game run at 60, that would be amazing. And at max settings, really just take the graphic settings as high as possible if you have the PC hardware to do that. That's an appealing prospect for a lot of these hardcore gamers. Now, this whole story may remind some people of Death Stranding, which is a game that was funded by Sony, was developed in large part thanks to Sony's investment in it and the resources that they provided, but it is a game that's also coming out on PC months after an initial launch on PlayStation 4. It's a timed exclusivity. But keep in mind that Death Stranding is a different scenario in that Kojima Productions is not a Sony-owned first-party studio. It is an independent studio that Sony happened to invest in and help out, whereas Guerrilla Games is in fact a Sony-owned first-party studio. So a game like Horizon Zero Dawn coming to PC is pretty unusual, pretty unprecedented. It's a first for Sony, for them to take a first-party game developed by a first-party studio and port that over to PC. And because Guerrilla Games is a first-party studio, it is Sony, the PlayStation folks, who are publishing Horizon Zero Dawn on PC, whereas with Death Stranding, while Sony obviously published Death Stranding on PlayStation 4, on PC, the game's being published by a separate company, 505 Games. So the PC version of Death Stranding is an endeavor that's outside of PlayStation. It's just something Kojima Productions is pursuing in partnership with 505 Games, whereas with Guerrilla's PC endeavors, that's something that I'm sure is being coordinated with Sony because Guerrilla is owned by Sony. It'll be interesting to see how well optimized both of these games are on PC, especially given that they run on the same technology, the Decima engine that they co-developed. But the main takeaway from all of this is that Sony seems more open to the idea of releasing PlayStation first-party exclusive games on PC as well. We'll obviously never see those kinds of games come out on Xbox, the main competition there, but PC, which is considered a neutral platform, is something that Sony seems to be opening themselves up to, which could mean that plenty of other PlayStation 4 exclusives, games that PC gamers never had access to, could also trickle in to PC as time passes. And with PlayStation 5, that could also possibly mean that a lot of exclusive games for that platform will eventually end up on PC as well. And that, I think, is a win for everyone. Generally speaking, most gamers seem to be in support of Sony bringing over their PlayStation games to what is the most widely used platform. Just about everyone owns some kind of PC. So to give those people a chance to play Sony games, a lot of people are totally down for that, but there is also a segment of the PlayStation fandom that completely abhors this idea, which is baffling to me. I respect people's opinions, but I vehemently disagree with the notion that Sony is doing something wrong by porting their games over. I think in large part it has to do with tribalism. There are some PlayStation fans who just want to feel like they own those games and that PlayStation games should only be confined to their community, their fandom. But for my part, that's just not a mentality I can get behind. I'm all about sharing is caring. I think if there's any chance to break away from any kind of exclusivity, that's ultimately a good thing. I'm not saying there isn't a place for first-party exclusivity in the games industry, that there aren't benefits to certain games being exclusive, but if there is any way to actually just move away from that, and even if it takes some time to get there, eventually allow a once first-party exclusive title to be more accessible to other people, why the hell not? One argument I've heard is that there's just no reason to buy PlayStation consoles now, given that a lot of their games might come out on PC anyway. To that, I say, well, if you're a PlayStation owner, you'll probably get to play those first-party games first. It's not like Microsoft, who are releasing Xbox games on both Xbox consoles and Windows at the same time whenever possible. And for Microsoft, that makes sense because they own both the Xbox and Windows ecosystem, so that synergy actually bolsters their business. But for Sony, they want to ensure that their ecosystem is enhanced before they take those games and bring them to other platforms. So no doubt those first-party PlayStation games will release on PlayStation first, and then after some time to really optimize those games for PC, they might come to Steam and Epic Games Store. So there is still very much a lot of incentive to get a PlayStation console. A game like Horizon Zero Dawn, for example, that came out again in 2017. It's only 3 years later that it's finally coming out on PC. So yeah, if you're a PlayStation owner, you just get to play first-party games before anyone else, before any PC player. And that, from a business standpoint, makes sense, and it's something that people are willing to tolerate because, again, first-party games are funded by the platform holders, and people understand, to an extent, the business of wanting to drive sales for a platform through new creations funded by the platform holder. It's a win-win-win scenario where PlayStation still gets to sell consoles through the release of these compelling first-party games that you can only play on PlayStation for a while, and then once those sales max out and start to dwindle, Sony can say, okay, let's put it out on PC for more players to enjoy, and at that point, sales will increase for Sony games, more people get to play the game, more word of mouth gets to spread, and also keep in mind that we don't know for sure that every single PlayStation 5 exclusive is also going to make its way to PC. Sony's just testing the waters right now, and it's entirely possible that there are going to be some games that will come out on PC, but other first-party games that will always stay strictly on PlayStation, so that'll actually give people incentive to buy PlayStation. But at the same time, any chance to break away from that exclusive, any chance to give more types of gamers a chance to play an amazing game is a win. Now, Microsoft has been doing this for a while, bringing their games on both Xbox and PC, blurring the lines between platforms and even between generations. They recently announced that all of their first-party games for Xbox Series X will also be released for Xbox One. That's how things will work for around a year or two before games start to become exclusive to next-gen, to Xbox Series X, and also likely for Windows. They want these games to be as accessible as possible. They're going for what is being dubbed as platform agnostic future, in which platform doesn't matter, it's more about subscription and services. Xbox Game Pass is being emphasized. Now, Sony isn't quite there yet. They're still being more traditional in the sense that PlayStation 5 will have exclusives that are only playable on PlayStation 5. But the fact that Sony's experimenting with having one of their first-party studio games releasing on PC goes to show that in the future, we might see a lot more PlayStation games come out on PC, that they are thinking about the huge PC user base. And further indication of this is the way they're pushing PlayStation Now, which is a streaming platform that is available on PC. You don't need to own a PlayStation right now in order to access PlayStation games via the cloud. So even PlayStation is starting to understand that the future of gaming is going to be less reliant on hardware sales. It's more going to be reliant on the entire ecosystem of a company's platform. The PlayStation ecosystem is what matters, with services like PlayStation Now, PlayStation Plus, subscription, and all of these different elements that are in addition to the core of gaming, which is, purchasing games and playing them on your console. And at the end of the day, I feel like all of that is ultimately going to result in customers having more choice. If they want to go with subscription that gives you a whole library of games but only access, you can do that. Or if you actually want to own your games physically or download them digitally, you can pay full price. Or if you want to go cloud and game anywhere you want, you can use, PlayStation Now or Project X Cloud. And if you want to game on PC, there are options for that as well for both Xbox and seemingly PlayStation, with this trickling in of PlayStation games on Steam and Epic. As long as all of these elements are there to supplement each other rather than replace things that people know and love, I think everyone's just gonna benefit from this. Unlike Stadia, which is trying to replace traditional gaming with cloud gaming and making that the sole future of gaming, which is an awful idea, it feels like Xbox and PlayStation are using multiple methods to allow people to engage with games in the way they want. So yeah, I have nothing against Horizon Zero Dawn coming to PC. I cannot wait to see what other PlayStation 4 exclusives might come to PC, and I cannot wait to see what PS5 exclusives might eventually make their way to PC. The more the merrier. The more games can release on more platforms, the happier everyone gets to be. There's a way to do this in a way that everyone feels satisfied. These are just one man's take on this whole situation. I'd love to hear what your thoughts and opinions are on Horizon Zero Dawn coming to PC and what that could mean for the future of PlayStation and PlayStation exclusives. And to be further updated on all things gaming news, reviews, and discussions, stay tuned right here on Young Yeah. I'll see you guys next time. Young out.